Two of the largest sports brands in the world were founded by two brothers who hated each other. Now, typically when you think of rival sports brands, the first two that come to mind are Adidas and Nike. And while valid, decades before that, a rivalry was formed so bitter, it not only tore apart a family, but an entire town along with it. This is the story of Adolf and Rudolph Dassler, the founders of Adidas and Puma, and their lifelong pursuit to bury the other no matter the cost. Now, like most companies just getting started, Pumas and Adidas came from humble beginnings. The two brothers known as Adi and Rudi Dassler working out of their parents' house in the small town of
Herzogenaurach,
Germany. And this was actually a town known for shoemaking dating back centuries. Now, these were such humble beginnings that sometimes they had to pedal a bike to make their own electricity. But at the same time, the brothers proved to be quite the duo. With Adi's passion being product development, he was always looking for ways to innovate and revolutionize the shoes, while Rudi had a knack for sales and marketing. The company was officially named
Gebrüder Dassler Schuhfabrik,
or Heda for short, in the early 1920s. Now, working together, they would find steady growth throughout the years, with their big break as a company coming in 1936 when American track star Jesse Owens won gold at the 1936 Berlin Olympics wearing Heda shoes. However, shortly after that success, the company would be shut down due to but would eventually continue after the war until 1948 when all came crashing down. Now, there isn't a whole lot of information as to why specifically the brothers severed ties and went their own ways, but there are some running theories, most of them involving their wives, more specifically the wife of Adolf, Kathy Dassler. And it's said that early in the founding of Heda, Kathy would involve herself in business affairs and would butt heads quite a bit with Rudolph. So this, along with other theories, led to a falling out. After 30 years of working together in 1948, the business was shuttered and all ties were completely severed. At that moment, everything in the company was split. Most of the employees at that time stayed with Adolf in the original factory, and a handful left with Rudolph across the Arak River to build from the ground up. Lines were drawn in the sand and a new war was started, the Shoe War. So from that time on, both brothers started their company as we know them today, Puma and Adidas. And this rivalry quickly spread to every corner of the town, since the vast majority of the people living there either worked for Puma or Adidas. It was almost full segregation. Each side had their own shops that they went to, stayed on their side of the river, and everyone was constantly looking down at each other's shoes to see what side you were on. It got so bad that
Herzogenaurach
got a nickname, Town of Bent Necks. And over the years, the feud would only grow as Adidas continued to grow in popularity nationwide, and in large part thanks to a deal that was struck with the German national soccer team in 1954. The team would be repping Adidas in the first ever broadcast World Cup, where they would go on to upset Hungary and win Germany's first ever world title in soccer. Now at this point, Rudolph saw Puma falling behind Adolf and Adidas and knew he had to do something. That something would go on to be known in the history books as the Pele Pact. Alright, so fast forward to 1970, again centered around the World Cup, but this time in Mexico. And at the time, one of the greatest players the world has ever seen is dominating the international sports scene, Brazilian superstar Pele. Now, both brothers were fully aware of the huge opportunity it would be to sign an athlete of that caliber. However, they both came together on the matter and agreed that neither would go after signing him. The reason being is the process would turn into a bidding war and ultimately bankrupt both companies. So at that point, it was settled. Neither team was going after Pele. But Rudolph was falling behind and knew that this was his opportunity to make up ground on Adidas and do it overnight. So before the quarterfinal match between Brazil and Peru, Puma approached Pele with a $120,000 deal. The deal was simply to call time right before the game was to start and lace up his shoes on the pitch for everyone to see. And to make sure that they got the shot they wanted, they even paid off the cameraman. And it worked. Pele went on to win the World Cup in Pumas and sales skyrocketed. And all at the same time putting a sizable dent in the Adidas customer base. So where are we today? The brothers must have eventually made up and come to their senses, right? Well, actually no. Adolf never attended his brother's funeral, and today they are buried on opposite sides of the cemetery in their hometown of
Herzogenaurach.
This was a war truly fought to the bitter end, and this is a war still being fought today with both headquarters still found in that same small town. So which side are you guys on? Let me know down in the comments section, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.